Well, hello. I decided to install a set of auxiliary brake lights on my bike, and they are Skene Design P3s, and here's how it went and the result. This installation is very straightforward. Start with removing the bags and the seats. And as you will see in this video, there are no special tools involved. The unit comes in a small package. It includes two lights, a module, a control module, and all the connectors you need for the installation. And in this case, they're using Posi Tap Connectors, which are a real godsend for motorcyclists. These Posi Tap connectors are, they have one end with a spike or a tooth that pierces a signal wire or a feed wire, one of the two. And then the other end has a blunt steel connector, which the, we'll call it the leaching wire, plugs into. And they hold their connection very nicely. If you recall, if you've seen my other video, I've used these connectors before on my Darla light install on the front of the bike. However, I've never used this particular connector before, which connects bluntly two twist wires together. You feed them through the top of the cap onto this plastic cone and tighten the cap down, and it holds the whole selection together quite nicely as well. The main feed wire for the whole system comes off a switched power line, and the manufacturer suggests using the red and green wire feeding into the front fuse block on the bike. So you feed one of these Posi Tap connectors onto that wire to power the whole system. One big advantage to these Posi Tap connectors is that you can hook in your leach wire on and off as much as you want without a whole lot of damage to the end of the wire itself. Now, one of the more time-consuming parts of the installation is hooking into the various signal wires that feed the tail light and the blinkers. You have to peel back some insulation to hook into these wires, and there are two bundles of wires heading back, so you hopefully didn't do what I did, was inadvertently cut into the wrong wire and find out I have the wrong set. So I had to cut into the second set of wires to find the ones I'm after. So the Posi Taps go into the trigger wires, one for each blinker, one for the brake light, and one for the ground. I've put the colors in the description of the video. The lights themselves, the brackets they sit on, need to be twisted gently to make sure that the light itself is perpendicular to the ground. That way it is most visible farther back behind you. Once the lights were mounted, I found a little gap between the painted bodywork and the black rear fender where I could feed the two power wires up to the module. There's not a whole lot of space there, but it takes these wires perfectly. And once all the wiring is done, I paint up the bottom of the connectors with a little bit of liquid electrical tape. I find this stuff is good to protect wires and where they might be crinched down a little bit by the plastic connectors. And I used blue electrical tape so I can spot my work later on down the road. This looks really messy here, but I can assure you that when the job was done, it looks 100% better. Now here's where a bunch of you might slap your palm against your forehead. I used some exterior Gorilla Tape to hold these wires for the time being, these external feed wires for the lights themselves. Use a little alcohol to clean the plastic so the tape will stick a little better. You might be laughing at me, but I've used this tape before on a couple minor outside type external wiring things on cars and motorcycles, and it holds not too bad. We'll try it this time. If it doesn't hold, I'll replace it with something better. Now, I didn't have to cut any wire, so I used all the wire supplied in the kit, and I ended up mounting the control module underneath the wire feeds into the stereo system. There's a lot of room there, and it fit perfectly. So now here is a recording of the before and after of the bike from the back. This particular model does not have the decelerometer, but it does have the indicator function. So here's the bike without the lights on. Actually, I have them covered with electrical tape so you can't see them. This is just the normal stock setup, the 2 indicators and the brake light. Now, with the Skene system, you get a running light which is flickering. It flickers just like you see in the video in person. And there's the brakes, so you get some pulsing before a solid light. And the indicators, when you turn on the indicators, the light on that particular side flashes with the indicator. Furthermore, the manufacturer gives you a cheat sheet of 10 different programming codes. You can program the lights by clicking the brakes 4 times. It goes into a programming mode where it flashes a couple times here. And then you can press the brake an appropriate number of times to get different sorts of functions. In this case, I was getting into the hazard flasher. So this is one mode of hazard flasher, solid intermittent beam lights. But additionally, there are other modes of hazard flasher. You can get pulsing flashes, like this, or you can get 4 pulse flashes, 4 quick pulses in flashes. It's all very effective. Overall, I love this system, and it's very, very noticeable when you're following one of these bikes. Anyway, until next time.